for me, I have to physically watch my guys, right? So I don't like having huge clubs. I don't want to have hundreds of students. I can't keep track of that. And I don't like the show up on time system. I don't like that at all. Like I mark you off for all your classes. I mark you off for your classes so that I know I've taught you this. And if I've taught you this 3 fucking times and it's still not sinking in, I'm not giving you a blue belt, man. Like if you can't understand the basic premise of push-pull, which has been presented to you multiple times, push-pull, just because you're winning doesn't mean that I'm going to give you the belt. So you've got one cool submission that you can nail. You don't get push-pull. That's me. So my version of the belt is not predicated upon like, okay, he showed up on time. He's wearing a clean gi, blah, 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 blah. No, he can literally be an alcoholic who shows up late. But he knows push-pull, and he'll fuck your shit up. There's your blue belt.
Welcome to the show, man.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. So, Chris, you are a second-degree Rickson black belt, and forgive me, there's another individual that you're under as well, right?
So, Jason Robig,
That's it. Forgive me.
and I train with Rickson, and I'm going to go and see him in December and get
Wow.
the 3rd degree. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I thought that would be coming up because I've seen that second degree for a while. It seems like on your stuff.
My belt's weird. I got a black belt before I got a black belt, and then I got a black belt, and then I got professor stripes and then degrees.
So, Chris, one thing that surprised me, having watched your videos and not enough of them to get this, but that you're in Australia, because I didn't hear this accent, so it totally screwed me in terms of like, oh God, another Aussie I got to deal with here in terms of time conversion. But your origin is what? You were born here in the States, and then you are off to Australia somehow. Can you tell me that jump?
I was born in Florida and grew up in Atlanta. So Atlanta,
Yes.
Georgia was my home. And then I went over to Sydney for a chunk and then back to Atlanta for a chunk and then all around the South and then back to Melbourne. Then Melbourne became Perth, became Queensland, became a whole bunch of shit. Then back to America for another chunk where I was stuck in the desert. Now I'm back here in Sydney. I travel a lot.
Yeah.
Anytime you give me a gig, I'll take it. I just fly around.
And you've lived in Australia for a number of years.
So I was in Melbourne for about 20 of them. So that was my home base where I would travel out of.
So 0 Point Academy, Jiu-Jitsu in Sydney, Australia is your academy, correct?
So me and a couple of guys put it together before I disappeared over to America for another project, and they kept 0 Point running for me while I was gone. And now I'm back running another one. So 0 Point is me, technically, and it's all my affiliate schools.
Wow.
There's a bunch of them floating around. I just don't tell anybody.
One thing that I really loved when I read about you on I believe it was the 0 Point website or somewhere, it might have been BJJ Project. It said, for your first 10 years in jiu-jitsu, you were getting destroyed. 2 medial tendons snapped, cracked ribs, torn ligaments, broken bones, fingers destroyed. You couldn't even stand up straight because your spine was damaged pursuing flashy guards. It's a very sort of, I don't know if it's a common story, but for those of us that have either started late or have been in the game for a decade or more, you get thrown into the meat grinder, or you're perhaps exploring various things that may or may not be great in terms of body resilience. Where were you on that description?
At the bottom end of the spectrum. It was shit for me when I started because when I started, no one told me what I was doing. They just kind of threw me in the deep end and said, fucking survive. And that's a low percentage of people because there's only like a certain percentage of us idiots that stick it out, you know? So you can get to black belt safely. It is a possibility, right? But
Yes,
come
absolutely.
on, who does? Like, no, fucking none of us do. And that's why you got those guys that are like really pissy about those Moneybird kind of guys that like they didn't suffer to get to their black belt. Like I'm sure they suffer all kinds of indignities, but the indignity of constantly getting injured because like first off, because you think you're tougher than you are when you're doing stuff. Like I could pull that move off, and then all of a sudden your finger like turns into a letter T. Like, guess I did it wrong. Yeah. So for me, it was a shit show to begin with, and it took about a decade until I found the instruction that I was looking for. And the instruction I was looking for was how to defend yourself before you start attacking, instead of you got to kill him, give him win, go, beat him up. I don't know how to beat him up. You're not giving me any tools to work with here, Tiger. So it depends on what school you go to, but my starting out, whether I like it or not, I loved it. because I shit on it all the time, but I like fighting. So certain kind of people like that shit. They like walking out with a black eye and having a beer in a parking lot. Some people don't. So I don't know. I was lucky. I found the right place at the right time that pissed me off just enough to where I live in spite to this day, trying to fix that for everybody else.
Now, early on, still in a ton of different schools, you are thrown, as you mentioned, a lot of techniques, right? People who are brand new people who come in. And when I realized and heard Rickson and other people talking about things like base, some fundamental stuff like base, posture, kind of some people call things like structure and other stuff like that. I was like, wow, learning that type of stuff, balance even versus a triangle or even an armbar, right? It seems to be almost novel now, but almost like some schools are like finally getting a real fundamental program in place versus just like throwing, as you mentioned, techniques at brand new students. How do you approach this? I'm a day one white belt, whatever. I come into your place. What's my first month going to look like?
Well, me personally, how I approach it, every single one of my classes involves a warm up before the class, and the warm up pertains to what you're learning. So if you can't do a forward roll and a break fall, I can't teach you the class. So the warm up is the class. So there's no version up or where I have just speed shrimping and then fucking doing jumping jacks. When I have adult class and they know what their warm ups mean, that's different. For now, I'm going to show you how to not hurt yourself to do the move that I'm going to show you how to do. Then you're going to repetitiously do the movement and ask questions as you do it instead of me chucking you in the deep end and going, oh, fuck around, find out. I don't do that. I'm in the middle of podcast. Me and an ecological guy having a discussion on how we teach and why we teach certain ways. I teach this way specifically because if you don't know how to fall and you come into class and we're doing single legs, what? I'm waiting for the white belt attrition rate studies 10 years from now. It's ridiculous the amount of injuries you incur by not being shown how to protect and defend yourself while learning. So I love the idea of ecological learning dynamics or whatever fucking cool words you can use. Positional sparring is correct. Like I love positional sparring. All of my students positional spar. Hodger's students, Rickson students, we all positional spar with parameters and context. Just because you put fancy fucking words on it doesn't make it not a thing. But I'm not going to take a white belt and throw them in the deep end and go positional spar.
Mm.
Nope. First class, what we do, we have an introductory class. So let's say 2 times a month, there's an introduction to invisible jiu-jitsu. So the term invisible jiu-jitsu is all those things that you were just talking about. Base, control of the middle, connection, weight distribution. The primary things that create jiu-jitsu, the foundations that create jiu-jitsu. If you don't know those words when they come out of my mouth, I can't build on that.
Mm.
So twice a month, we have an introduction for new students. Then they're welcome to come in to these classes. These classes are going to be step by step. How do you do this and why do you do this? Beginning, middle, end. Then when they feel confident, they can move on and do the sport, right? The thing is, if I have a sport guy come in and I just like throw them in the deep end, they're going to go over there and they're going to go upside down. And the other person's just going to smack them in the face. And they didn't see it coming because, oh God, we don't strike at the other academy. Like we do. So we're wearing gloves now. So the first half of the rounds, it's just no gi or gi with no striking. And then when you're tired, put on the gloves. So now don't get punched in the face while you're doing this. So it's very contextual how I teach, and I gotta make sure I know that you know what you're doing before I add shit on. Yeah, you need to know the fucking warm-ups before I have you brawling, because I know you're tough. You're the toughest man that ever toughed. But let's make sure you can do a forward break fall.
So obviously that's been successful for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have multiple schools that are doing this in this day of, quote unquote modern jujitsu, where people go on YouTube and they're watching CJIs or whatever it may be, and then their expectation is that, and then they show up to perhaps your academy or something like that, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready for the pit, or I want to be a champion.
We have a thing called death wall. So there's no padding on the wall and there's a bunch of screws coming out of it. So we got death wall. Try not to fall off the mats on the concrete and try not to hit death wall. The mats have been sitting at the docks for about a year now. We're still waiting for them to be delivered. So yeah, that's our version of a pit.
Yeah.
I fucking love the pit, by the way. That's so cool. That is like the coolest new thing. Jam you up against a pit and you do a flying, running triangle shit. I like how they found every way to not strike. We're gonna make you wear suits.
Yeah, it seemed like novel at first, and then this next one, it's like it didn't play much of a role. Like it seems like, but Whatever. That's not here or there.
I'm digging it. I actually love the idea of adding these new cool parameters because like I love Flores's wall waza. Like fighting off of the cage and fighting off of the wall, that needs to be explored more. Weapons retention versus weapons defense needs to be
Mm.
explored more, especially in America where it's like fucking full civil war all the time now. If you don't know how to keep your weapon, that's important, man. That's common civilian knowledge at this point. But yeah, there's so many different things and different lanes that we could start to go down, but we've managed to make it like this weird cult, which is very surprising because they used to make fun of jujitsu for being a cult, for everyone wearing like white gis and bowing and shit. And
Hmm.
now the
Hmm.
sports side has become a cult unto itself. Like they, you're not rolling in the pit. You have no idea what you're doing. Like jujitsu's evolved. Like, all right, fuck it, it's getting weirder out there. People need to start getting along a little bit better. Need to go and have a couple drinks and fight in the car park.
Wow, guest, that was really interesting. But did you know, throughout history, salt has been highly valued and commonly used as currency? Warriors and sailors were sometimes given rations of salt for their wages. If they were worthy, they were said to have earned their salt. Salt Electrolytes drink mix is designed for today's warriors, athletes, and those who get after it and work up a sweat regularly. If you're eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, and working out, you need to replenish your electrolytes. With a light, refreshing flavor, salt is great to drink during your workout because it will not coat your mouth with a thick film. Salt contains 6 different electrolytes, with a touch of iodine to help maintain a healthy thyroid. No sugar, no color, no BS. Go earn your salt. And on top of that, if you use code FWB, how much should we give you off? 5%? 10%? Nah, 15%, just because we're friends. Now go get it. Salt Electrolytes. You know, you're an interesting dude in the sense that you represent Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and you speak about Gracie's Jiu-Jitsu so highly, specifically Rickson. And whenever I hear someone like that, I
I
expect them
do.
to look a certain way and to behave a certain way and to sort of articulate a certain way. And then we have Chris Bones Burns, right? And you look like a different, perhaps stereotype that some people have of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Your thoughts on that?
You. I am the stereotype, or I
No,
feel like
no, no,
that
no.
one.
I don't think so.
I am the opposite of the stereotype. I don't belong to anyone. So I think that's why me and Hickson are friends. Like I'm not here to suck up to anybody. I'm here doing what I think is right in my heart, and I accidentally ended up on a camera. That's all that's happening. There's no version of me that wanted to be doing this shit show. Not your shit show, like a shit show of the internet. Because it's like it's surprising to all these wieners that are on Instagram, like begging to be watched. There's people that like repost my shit making fun of it, going like, I'm gonna get more followers because I use the enemy now. Like
Mm,
those
yeah,
are weird people. There's
yeah,
people that want this.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't want this. Someone put a camera on me, and then more people started listening, and then they started filming it and selling it and going like, there's so many people that wanted to know this. Holy shit. Someone actually sent me a message and said, I don't want to get punched in the face from guard. Thank you for teaching that. It's this weird fucking thing where I accidentally ran it up a flagpole and a lot of people were saluting. So I didn't go out of my way to put myself and present myself a certain way to gain attention and recognition. So there's no version of me that was like, I'm going to represent the Gracie. Like, no, I represent me. And now by default, I'm representing the Gracie. So I'm trying genuinely to stop swearing as much because I'm aware of the fact that I have people watching, right? And I
Hmm.
don't want
Hmm.
to shine a bad light on the people that I may or may not represent. You know, like that's important to me because I respect Hickson. I
Hmm.
genuinely respect him as a man, as an artist. I don't want to do wrong by him. So I try to be a better person, but I like me. I'm okay with me. I was born with me. I'm going to die with me. Everything in between is noise. So as long as I can deal with this, because I had to do a lot of therapy to deal with this, I didn't like me for a long time. The amount of time it took for me to be okay with me, you can't take that away. Like, I don't have to represent anybody else. I don't have to live up to anybody else's standards. I'm fine. I'll go to the beach. I'll jump in the water. I'll come home, play with my dog, go to bed. Everything else is noise. I'm good. So, accidentally representing something more important than myself, I'm coming to terms with it and I'm doing the best I can. But it's also a slow process because I wasn't pretending to be something else to get your fucking attention and I'm never gonna be that. I'm sorry.
So I'm curious about your teaching because you're such an effective teacher and you're very charismatic on camera and stuff. I can only imagine what it's like in being actually in the same room with you or not. I'm curious, how'd you learn to teach?
Gracie University. I actually studied teaching from the Gracie family. I'm proud of that. And I know that there's a lot of people that shit on that side of the family. I think they revolutionized the way we teach this art. I'm very happy that I did that. So I was given the opportunity because I used to just teach. Like I would study on my own and I would teach on my own and I would try and make up classes on my own because like I said, I was thrown into the meat grinder at white belt and literally handed a key. Like, oh, you live there. You're always there. Do you want to open the class door? Like, yeah, I'll open the door. So I would open the door. Like, hey, what are we doing today? I'm like, I don't know. What triangles? We're doing triangles. I was teaching at white. There was a couple of us. I remember back in the day, a couple of us that were teaching as white belts. The door's open. Yeah. So I came from that. And I'm not competitive. I'm more self-loathing. I wanted to suffer. I wanted to fight. I wanted to always be injured because if I was hurt physically, I couldn't care enough emotionally. There was a whole bunch of shit going on when I started jujitsu. So instead of the external validation of standing on a podium, which I was never good with, it was more the internal, like, okay, well, I got to be there at 10 o'clock so that I can run the thing. I've got a purpose. I need a purpose. I don't need validation. I need a purpose. My purpose was teaching. So I continued on that path because I found that it fit right with me. Instead of going to the camps, like I would do camps and okay, I'm gonna sit in the sauna for 12 hours and run laps. Like I did it. And then I like the first gold medal I ever got, I was like, and that's what I got for that? Like, no, that's not worth it to me. So the feeling I got when I was teaching was like, and that's what I got for that. Okay, cool. For me, the art of teaching was really struck a chord. The ability to share and preserve something felt heavier than standing on a podium and going like, I did something with that.
Mhm.
What did I do with that? I see jujitsu in a very different way than a lot of people. I got the opportunity to go over to LA and start a Gracie University. Okay, so Gracie University is where they teach the combatives. The combatives was the original, let's say 36 lessons or 23 lessons or whatever. Because Elio started out by teaching 40 classes, and those 40 classes were a couple of moves per class, and it was the Gracie syllabus. The Gracie syllabus is a giant hardbound book. It's basic self-defense and the premise of jiu-jitsu today. They whittled that down to give to the military, and then the military didn't take it. I can't remember. I'm not a historian, but they ended up making it for civilians instead, and they created the combatives. The combatives is the first thing you should be learning before you learn how to fucking berimbolo. Like, what is a guard? Why do we use a guard? That kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
had the opportunity to go to a school and learn how to teach their curriculum, and I did. And I ran a Gracie University for a few years. I'm a big, big fan of how they teach. They present problems. The first thing they do is they demonstrate, they show the move, then they explain what happened, and then they cut it into slices and they explain it little dumb, little bit more, a lot more, and then back to dumb. I loved the entire process of how you can explain something thoroughly to a brand new person, physically, visually, audibly, all of that stuff. Fell in love. That's one of the most important things I think the Gracies have managed to do over the past couple decades is how to present the art. Meanwhile, Rickson was sharpening the art and the blade of the art. So I try and present Rickson's jiu-jitsu the way I was taught by Gracie University how to teach jiu-jitsu. But I
Mhm.
swear a lot. So I think I found like a middle ground of not being a salesman and not selling the product, but I found the correct product that I'm trying to sell, and I do it with dick jokes.
I just spoke with a competitor who won a lot of stuff, very active professional competitor. And I asked him, how'd you learn how to teach? And he's like, to be honest with you, it was the Gracie mentorship program, right? The Gracie teaching program. And he's like,
That's
shit
cool.
on them all you want, but they know how to teach teachers, how to develop teachers. And I was like, wow. So it's really something that I expected sort of something similar from yourself, but it's really amazing to hear that, that it's such an effective program. Because oftentimes I speak to owners and I'm like, how are you teaching your teachers? And I'm going to ask you the same thing. Or please answer the same thing. But oftentimes I don't really get a solid answer.
I do instructor development training. So during COVID, yeah, I fucking love this question. Good job. So instructor development training is important to me. I haven't gotten to run one for Zero Point Sydney because it's only been open for like 11 months. But my instructors during COVID, we had like a closed facility that I was teaching the teachers how to teach. The easiest way to go about this if you don't have a curriculum, you're not going to be able to pull this off. You can have stage presence and you can say like, okay, let's get everybody to circle up and I'll show a move and then we can go and drill the move. That's a terrible idea. Like, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. You're going to make like one Olympic swimmer and 10 babies drown, but whatever. You got an Olympic swimmer out of that. The idea of how do you present this? How do you make sure that everyone that's presenting it presents the same thing for unification? Right? That's a huge thing because where I came from, we would literally go into the center of the room. The instructor would grab somebody and then everyone would circle up and they would show the move that we're going to work on. Now, that circle of idiots, like 2 of us were watching, 20 of us were doing barambolas in the corner. No one was actually watching what was happening. And then when we broke off to go and do the thing, some of them did the thing and some of them just didn't. It was just anarchy and constant injuries, constant injuries.
Mm.
The very first thing that you learn, if you have a curriculum, if you've got A, B equals C, there's your class. Here's your class structure, beginning, middle, end. A, B, C. Here's your class time, opening, closing. Professional. Here, go do this. Now, when you do this, here's some pro tips on how to do this well. Have everyone line up on a wall. When they line up on the wall, they're paying close attention to the exact angle that you're teaching on. You can change the angle around so that the people don't miss anything. And if everybody's standing on the wall, there's not 4 of them over there doing barambolos in the corner. If they're doing barambolos in the corner, 2 of them that are on the wall watching those idiots instead. You have their attention. You have an audience. Now, when you have an audience, you present the product. The product, presentation for the product, beginning, here's context, beginning, middle, end. Is there any questions? It goes much deeper than that. Is there a question? Yeah, this, and this. That's a very good question. We don't really have a lot of time for that answer, but come and see me after the class. So there's like little pro tips on like, yeah, but what if he does this, and this, and then he moves into this? There goes your class. There goes 45 minutes of your class trying to explain to a blue belt that the blue belt is blue belting. Stop being such a blue belt. Settle down, pay attention to this one thing. I got your back. When that's over, I'll explain it. There's these tiny little tips and tricks along the way on how you present these classes that make them run smooth and make them sink in deep. When I teach my instructors, I have them come in and we do the syllabus. Here's a class. My favorite class is the Kimura. All I want you to do, I want you to teach manage the distance, manage the damage, body fold takedown, roll off, push, Kimura. That's a whole class. That's a class. If you can't do that, can't help you. I've given you the easiest possible class with A plus B equals C. If you can't put A, B, and C together, you're not a very good teacher. You're going to argue the fact that A plus B equals C. I get it. Go start a school. Like, no, this Kimura, I saw this on YouTube and it's way better. Like, fantastic. Use that on your own time. Teach the students the basic Kimura. They should know how to do it. Then we can build on it later when they decide that they're geniuses and they're going to reinvent the Kimura. The idea is to have one solid product. Unification between all instructors. No arguments with the instructors. Arguments come after class. So if you see an instructor teaching something wrong, don't reprimand them in front of the rest of the class because it takes away the idea of this instructor knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. The product is the product and it's solid. It's a solid product. If the instructor fucks up, that doesn't make the product bad. But don't diminish the instructor in front of the students because the students are looking at us like we're retards now. That's like if somebody's back there like making fries and like throws the fries or I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I want to shop at McDonald's anymore. They keep throwing fries at the customers. A thin veil of professionalism is not a cult. It's a business, right? If I go somewhere and it's not clean, I don't want to train, right? If I go somewhere and they're having arguments on the mat about the application of the move, you guys don't know what you're fucking doing. I don't want to be here. You can do that off the mats and have a discussion like adults. When I teach this, the instructors how to instruct, I run them through a class, the Kimura class. They teach the class in front of me, and then I give them tips on how they can present better. And then I watch them teach the class in front of a class, and then I talk to them after. So I keep an eye on them for about a month, personally. Mm-hmm. I'll tell them, God forbid they watch this, I'll tell them that they're just running this one class just to get practice, but I'll come in and I'll watch them. And I'll see what they're doing. And I'll see what they're fucking up. And I'll also see if they keep teaching the class. If you don't have the commitment to continue teaching that class, the one that I actually, if you can't stand outside of the door for 7 days while they hit you with a shovel, you're not my instructor. No, I've got very good instructors. My instructors are solid and they know exactly what they're doing because go do the Kimura class for a month. I got bored, so I started teaching something else. Yeah, you did. You're not my instructor. You open the door sometimes. So I've got my own way of doing it, but I love the way Gracie University did it. Like one of the greatest things that I ever had was Horian. He came in and he did this whole spiel on teaching someone how to do a move, right? Like I don't think I'll take away the mystique of this because it's a beautiful story. There was probably like 100 something of us all lined up watching him teach. And he goes, okay, I want you to come out here and I want you to grab that person. They're going to close their eyes or hide the Gatorade bottle and then instruct them to get the Gatorade bottle with their eyes closed. And the guy would be like a good 15, 20 minutes of like, I want you to take your left foot. I want you to step forward. I want you to bend down with your right ankle underneath. I want you to grab this. I want you to rotate 90 degrees. I want you to lift it up and hold it. You got the bottle. And it was like this whole thing. He goes, okay, now here's a very important lesson. He goes over, grabs the guy's hand, physically walks him over to the bottle and puts his hand on the fucking bottle. That was a cool lesson for me. Man, not everybody needs to have 1,000-hour Donahue speeches. Some
Hmm.
people need to physically, I'm not shitting on John. I actually love John. Some people want you to just grab their hand, put it on the bottle, and go, good work. You did a really good job. Try again. That's another thing, by the way. There's a lot of schools where it's like, you just tough it out. Not everybody's a tough it out person. When you praise them for their efforts and then you correct them for what they did, like they fucked up. Hey, man, that was a good job, but let's see if we do it like this, and this. And then they do it again. You go, that was perfect. Good work. Praise, correct, praise. That changes a lot of view on students, man. They
Hmm.
don't just go in there to grind, to hustle to the grind, and then they go home and grind some more in an ice bath. This is a hobby for some people. They just want to learn how to defend themselves. So making them feel good about being in that room is a huge thing. So surprisingly, I make people feel good about being in a room. You'd never see it on the internet though.
Well, if you got a successful school, then you got to be doing something right. But I do love the word that you were using that I haven't heard a lot of academy owners call it, and that's a product, right? Is like the product is this, the product is that, and I often refer to it as product, trying to point back to say, hey, look, these are customers coming, paying customers. We can be family, we can be all these things that you say, but in the end, I can choose various products, especially nowadays, whether it's on this corner or that corner, this corner of this particular city or town, whatever. So it's important to think about that. And also, I love that the feedback sandwich analogy you gave there in terms of, yeah, positive, constructive, positive.
It's a product whether you like it or not. So I wasn't selling a product for a long time. I just would open the doors and fight. Like I like fighting. I would just spar all day. And then I realized like I would teach in between and I felt better about teaching than I felt about going home sore. Like there's certain people that enjoy doing it, certain people that don't. Some people don't want to do that. It's just this is their hobby. This is what they do. For me, what infuriated me the most about the beginning of my pseudo journey was never clearly being explained anything, just thrown into the deep end and being told this is how you defend yourself. Because I started, whether anyone likes it or not, and I'm going to keep saying it till I die, I started because I wanted to learn self defense. And when I looked into learning how to fight, this is literally as a kid, I was like, okay, I should learn how to fight. I wonder what I should do. And every nook and cranny that I went to was like, you got to learn how to box. You got to learn how to wrestle. You got to learn how to box. You got to learn how to wrestle. I did boxing and wrestling and I got fucking hurt all the time. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm not a boxer. I guess I'm not a wrestler. It doesn't work for me. And the older I got, the more I realized, oh, okay, these people that I think are smart, they keep saying that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, that's the smart thing to do for fighting because you don't have to be bigger, faster, and stronger. You don't have to outstrike them. You don't have to out wrestle them. You use leverage. I'll look into that. So I started looking into Gracie Jiu-Jitsu as a form of self-defense. And it literally, like everywhere I looked, it was kind of pushed at me like self defense. Awesome, I'm doing this. And I went and I did it, and it was not self defense. It was a Gracie sports school. And they kept telling me that I was learning self defense. I was not. There's a hard line in the sand. And this is an argument I keep having every day for some reason, because this is my life now. There's a difference between getting punched in the face while rolling around and standing as well, and making submissions happen whether you like it or not. That's
Hmm.
sport grappling. And you can call it jujitsu. Fine, have it, take it. I don't care. I like what the Valencias have done, and they call it jujitsu. There's different naming of it, but it's
Hmm.
a whole different thing for me. What annoyed me was that I was being taught how to do Z guard, knee shield, barambolos, and I wasn't being taught how to not get punched in the face. So when I used Z guard, knee shield, barambolos, I got punched in the face in a fight in the street.
Hmm.
I got the back of my hair grabbed. I got my head banged into the fucking concrete multiple times. I was like, I thought I was good at fighting. Turns out I'm really shit at fighting, but I'm good at jujitsu. There's a difference. There's a huge difference. And a lot of the sport community get pissed off about that because they feel like, no, I'm a badass. I can beat the shit out of you. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. I don't know when the last time somebody grabbed the back of your hair and smacked you into the concrete was, but it's an eye-opening experience. And I had a bunch of those experiences from white to brown. From white to brown, I was still getting in fights outside of the academy. And every time I would walk away injured, going like, I thought I was good, you know? And the shitty part is, because I was still doing MMA at the time, I would win in MMA doing jujitsu. Like it wouldn't register with me and nothing really clicked. So what I want to do is make sure that there's like a line in the sand between the two of them and neither of them get shit on because they're both important in their own ways. And here's the not paper tiger version of this. By doing the sport of jujitsu, you are safely learning the kinesthetic properties of jujitsu for self-defense. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not comfortable with physical contact and you get into a street fight, you're fucked, dude. You fucked. That adrenaline dump's gonna get you. You're gonna get tunnel vision. You're gonna start shaking, and then his friend's gonna kick you in the dick.
Mm-hmm.
So inoculate yourself. Inoculate yourself by playing the game of jujitsu. But if you're playing the game of jujitsu, my recommendation is to put personal parameters on the game. Are you there to win that medal? Well, then you need to start doing the butterfly to the crunch thing to the thing, and you gotta drill. You gotta get up at dawn and start running laps. You want to win, win. I'm just gonna work on standing back up from guard. I'm gonna start my rounds from underneath side or underneath mouth. I'm gonna get back to the guard and stand up from guard. You can train at a sports academy and do that for the rest of your life and still get inoculated and still get good at jujitsu. You have to
Mm-hmm.
give yourself the correct parameters so that you know what version you're doing. Doesn't make either of them bad. One of them's gonna get you a victory that makes you feel good about yourself. One of them's gonna give you a victory that makes you feel good about yourself. Same thing. But we like that weird party line kind of shit, like I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, oh, we're enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Just a reminder to please give us a 5-star review on Apple Music and Spotify and become a VIP member for only 99 cents a month. Get ad-free episodes at anchor.fm/Forever White Belt/subscribe. And check us out on Instagram at Forever White Belt Show. Go buy your Forever White Belt swag at Teespring, teespring.com/forever-white-belt. Check us out on YouTube now at Forever White Belt. Finally, if you ever get to beautiful Northern California, please come roll with us at North Bay Jiu-Jitsu in Marin County, just north of San Francisco. They're amazing instructors and everyone there are great people. Mention the podcast and get 2 weeks free. What makes a great student?
I don't think there are great students. It's just students. I think every one of them is different. I've never had a great student. I've had students that are easier to teach. You know, like black belts are usually either the best student or the worst student because there's black belts that'll come in there just to prove that they haven't wasted 20 years. Or there's a black belt that's like, I don't know, man. Maybe this works. Like I love Will. Will is a student by default. He's the guy that's in all those videos. And I love the last video we did. It's true because when he came in, I met him. He was like Captain K Guard. He loves K Guard. Like K Guard's good. I remember talking about it. I was like, yeah, but it's not the best decision. What do you mean it's not the best? Because I can totally do it. Like, yeah, you can totally do anything until the other person knows how to defend K Guard and you're getting punched because there's a defense to everything. You know, you can defend all submissions and it's a whole thing. For him to go in to meeting me and go, this thinks he's like, you drinking the Kool-Aid. And then he stuck around and kept learning and going, that doesn't work. And then he would go and do it. Like, works. That's my favorite kind of student is the reluctant student. My favorite is the reluctant. The best kind of student though is a blank canvas for me. I like having a blank canvas that I can start with and then see how they progress because that's my personal favorite. And it's not the best for them. Like if they had trained somewhere else and they came in with this amount of knowledge, maybe I can tune up that knowledge and put parameters around it. Or maybe they just get weird with it until they get their head banged into a curve. It depends on what the student wants because I've got sports students that are training for sport. I've got self-defense students that are training for self-defense. And then I got hobbyists that just want to come in and hang out, man. They want to chat on the sidelines. Everyone's different. So there's no perfect student. It's a little bit different for every single one of them. And all of them are perfect in their own way.
So conversely, then, what makes a great instructor?
Passion. I don't think it's necessarily the content. I think what makes great content, that's personal. That's a personal decision. Do I like McDonald's or do I like Burger King? They're both burgers. Which one do you like? I don't know. That's your opinion. I like Hickson. That's my burger of choice. Thanks. Yeah, I do. I really genuinely respect Donahue and the progression of the new wave. And I enjoy watching that stuff and thinking about it and going like, I like that, but I don't like this, this, and this. And then when I watch Hickson, I like that, that, and that. Oh, I think I like that burger more. So the product is the product. The person presenting the product is a completely different thing. So when I say like, what makes a good instructor is the passion of actually sharing the knowledge. I think that's important. So the knowledge is the knowledge. I don't know what you're sharing. I've met people that are sharing like 400 step fucking techniques for a heel hook. I hate that product, but oh my God, he's passionate and he's presenting it very well. Yeah. And then there's some guys that teach literally what I teach, like verbatim, the things that I'm being taught by Hickson. And when they present it, I want to shoot myself. It's like, it's
Mm.
the same product, but oh my God, being such a dick about it. And I'm going to fall asleep. This is terrible. And your students are not just there for the knowledge. Like how you convey is kind of important, you know, how you present things. Like I can just push buttons on a computer and make music, right? Human
Hmm.
music. I like it. Is it music? No. So it's this weird balancing act for me. Personal instruction. I like watching Eric Paulson teach. Like you could tell yeah, 1,000% when he teaches something, he's been punched in the face a million times. I know what I'm doing. It's like the Ron Swanson of fighting. Like, no, put your foot here. Yes, sir. I'll put my foot there. So I think passion. Passion's number one. The product second.
That's funny. I love that you mentioned the delivery. I remember Will Ferrell's skit where he's like loud monotone man. So he just always talks like this no matter what, or no matter what mood he's in. I'm climaxing right now, or whatever it may be, right? Or I'm terribly depressed and I'm crying internally, and it's exactly it, right?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
lamb.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. Yeah.
God.
So I think about that, right? When I
Yeah.
see these instructors, people, how do you convey? You gotta have some charisma or something. You gotta have some angle or something, and I gotta resonate with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's some instructors like I go out of my way to go and fucking see guys. You know, like, for me, I love learning from Hickson. I genuinely do. Like every moment of that, he is entrenched in what
Hmm.
he's doing. He is
Yeah,
deep in
seems
thought.
like it.
He's not just like there's some things that are rote and it's like this is the thing. And then if you are the right person at the right time and you ask him the right question, you're on a fucking journey. It's amazing to watch. I like what he's like. You can see him sink into himself and think about something. It's not just this and this. Okay, time's up. We better go. Like, no, dude, he's in. I remember I would go in for a private and like the day would disappear. You know, like that's the coolest shit ever. It's supposed to be 1 hour. 1 hour becomes a whole day. Here, take the keys. I'll come back tomorrow. You can stay here. What just happened? I'm the academy. We're all hanging out. We're all talking about what we did. Also, see you in a couple hours. There's a difference, and every instructor has their own thing. For me, I was so worried when I started with Hickson. Like, am I gonna even really like training with that? I love the product. I love the jujitsu. This is the jujitsu I've been hunting for fucking ever, and no one wants to believe it. It's like it's that weird mythical jujitsu. I like this is that dude. I heard he tapped out 20 black belts in a row. Yeah, but by today's standards, he'd be a fucking purple belt. It's like there's a huge difference. He's not doing moves. It's the conceptual version of jujitsu that becomes the moves, and like it's there. And I've got this chance to really go and learn this from him. But what if he's a cunt? I'm so worried because like I met this one guy that I was working with. He's a wealth of knowledge about a very specific lane of jujitsu that I'm very interested in, and he's a complete twat. I was like, I can't. It's not worth it. Like the knowledge is there, and it'll come to me slowly. I could have had the knowledge a lot faster, but he's a twat. I'm gonna take a hard pass on training with that guy, and I'll keep pursuing it on my own. Man, like if you've got the presentation skills and you've got the passion and you've got the product, it's like this perfect thing. It's like finding the best band. You accidentally find this album, and you're like, oh, I've never heard this before. You put it on, like, oh my God, I'm gonna listen to that all week. And then you keep
Yeah.
repeating it. Yeah. Like that's the feeling you get when you find the right dude or dudette. There's some wonderful female instructors out there, by the way. You don't see them a lot, but I've got like a set list of them that I actually pay close attention to because they're super technical.
Ooh, hard left turn here. Can you give me a non-jujitsu fondest childhood memory?
Sitting in a deck chair in the middle of the road, staring at the moon on a summer's night. There was no cars. It was like 3 in the morning. I found a deck chair and I took it into the middle of the road because there was no cars and I just stared at the moon for a while. I did the same thing when I was in my teens and I crawled up on top of I forget the name of the franchise, but it was a gas station. It was in the middle of North Carolina. I just looked at the sky for a few hours. I don't know. My fond memories are weirder than most. It's kind of like what was it? It's a good day for banana fish. I read too much J.D. Salinger as a kid.
Would you rather have a student who comes once a week and gets 3 rolls in, or a student who comes in 3 times a week and gets 1 roll in each of those days, and why?
Depends on what I'm building. Honestly, I just prefer to have a student. I like sharing my knowledge. However, you take my knowledge and what you do with it is up to you. I'm not trying to build a team of massive competitors to build my name upon. Like, I'm trying to preserve and refine a very important thing that's kind of dying in my eyes. In my eyes. Like, I'm sure that there's people out there that have been doing this since day one. And it's like, this is what we've been doing since I was a kid, whatever. There's a lot of people out there that think that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is something that it's not. And I really want to share it as far and wide as I can to make sure that it doesn't fade into like karate at the mall. And I want to say like I'm not diminishing karate at the mall. I kind of am, like because you're gonna have jujitsu at the mall. It's gonna be a thing where like you get your black belt in 3 months, kind of shit. It's not a martial art. There's no real dignity. Like I'm just saying that. And I've got a friend who actually teaches karate in a mall because COVID killed all the malls. So I think that's a terrible reference, but you get what I mean. Like a watered down, diluted version of something. I don't want that to be what I'm here for. I want to be the asshole that everyone hated because he didn't do the cool thing. I don't want to do the cool thing. I don't want to roll around in neon fucking kitten tights and go inverted. I want to make sure people understand actual, like the foundational principles that can create good jujitsu. And good jujitsu isn't just for the sport. Good jujitsu is for everything. So any student that walks in that door is the perfect student.
I'm also curious about your jujitsu in terms of like, what techniques do your friends or people that are more familiar with you primarily associate with you with in terms of techniques or whatever it may be? And is there another part of jujitsu that we overlook or they overlook that perhaps they're not terribly aware of that is still part of your game?
It depends on what phase of life my body is in, because like you could meet me and I have 2 ruptured meniscus and I'm not the guy on top right now. I'm the guy on the bottom. Like man, I owned him for 5 minutes. Did you submit him? No, but I was all over him. I got 40 points. That's the same as me when I broke my spine. Like, well, he won because he was chest to chest in half guard. You're stalling. I have a broken spine. Not sure what you want from me on this, but there's no cool like Shaolin sweep happening this month. We'll see how that goes in the future. And as the future progresses, it would be more like I start standing. Do you start standing? Oh, we're doing takedowns? Yeah, we're doing takedowns. So it's different iterations of my existence. So I don't know who you're going to meet when you're going to meet. Like maybe my elbow hurts today. Sorry, I guess I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
working side control. Like maybe I'm in the mood to get punched this week. I throw some gloves on. So it's a crap shot who you meet. But I like the last real comparison I ever had was to being like a toad because like you can see a dog like chewing on the frog and then the dog walks away and it dies. So they used to call me the toad. And I was like, I'm okay with that because he looks like he's fucking dying. And then the other guy fucking dies. Sorry, like a cockroach. I'll lay there. Oh, the timer went. I don't remember his submission going big. Sorry. I'm sorry I'm not an athlete. Sorry I got too many injuries to work around, but I'll get you eventually. I'll stab you in an alley at 3 a.m. It's contextual for me. So I would say the big thing that you take away submission wise is usually the belly down rear naked choke. Let's say the triangle from guard submission wise. And I love leg locking leg lockers because no one thinks they know what I'm doing because I teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Like, it's just, I saw this great thing. Somebody said something about leg locks on the internet. Like, he doesn't even fucking know what he's doing. And then somebody from like a decade ago, they wrote on there, it's like, this guy taught me my first heel hook over a decade ago. And I'm like, I've been around a while, cunt. So I love when leg lockers go for leg locks and I finish them with a leg lock. It's a surprise. You never know.
I love that you said belly down, rear naked choke, man, because that one, I believe Ryan Hall calls that the greatest position in the known universe.
It is. Oh, dude, Inky Bill's totally fucking right, dude. Ryan, I had this great story from one of my students. He was watching a podcast with him, and he was doing this move. This is Game of Telephone, so he might not have done this, but this is fucking cool in my eyes because I'm a big fan of Ryan. I used to watch all of his instructionals back when I was a kid. he was telling a story about this thing that he's doing and teaching right now. And they're like, where did you get that? He's like, Rickson Gracie taught it at a seminar like 8 years ago. And
Hmm.
it's been sitting in my head for like 8 years and it finally clicked. And now I'm teaching it. I was like,
Hmm.
that's the shit right there. That's
Hmm.
cool. So yeah, top, mount, back is the holy grail of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. If I take you down, I put you on the ground and I smack you on the face until you roll over. I put the hooks in and flatten you out. I'm in the dominant position on your fucking back. That's the best. That's the literal best place. And if you do the belly down rear naked choke, that starts from gift wrap in mount. You smack them in the face until they cover up. You take the gift wrap. And if they are going in that direction and their arm is out of the way, I will take them belly down. If they're going in this direction and their arm is in the way, I arm lock because I don't pull motherfuckers on top of me. That's a
Hmm.
bad habit. I'm not here for competition. I know I can take the back. I know I can do the cool thing. Fuck the cool thing, man. What happens when I do it out there and I do the cool thing? I'm not sorry. I'm not that guy. You could just hate me.
It's funny you mentioned that though, man, because I just spoke with Heath the ref. He's one of the refs for ADCC. That you might. He looks like Weird Al Yankovic. Great guy, super knowledgeable in terms of all that stuff. And he was saying during they have this points period, no points period, thing. And he was saying during the no points period, you do not want to give your back. You don't want to go turtle. And he's like, why? Because how many people have you seen submit someone when they're on their back? It's like you get your arms don't go backward, your legs don't go backwards, right? So it's like, just don't.
Dude, it's a thing. And I'm not thinking about sport because I wasted a lot of my life thinking about the sport. Like I was doing all kinds of shit trying to win for a little bit. Like, well, if I play the game, I'm going to get really good at the game and the game will make me good at fighting. No, no. Like there's two things that make you really good at fighting. Simplicity and the willingness to die. That's what makes you good at fighting. Like fuck it, let's die versus it's not complicated, I'm doing it. Like gross motor fucking movement shit. So the simplest version of jujitsu is what I'm aiming for. The guard that I teach my students is the Vale Tudo guard. That's it. I'm not teaching them anything cool. There's no octopus, there's no clam jam, there's no galaxy, no nothing. You are literally just managing specific distances from start to standing to start, back and forth. And there's 9 stages of that you can go through and a bunch of offshoots on all of that. Why would I bother with anything outside of that? Why would I possibly be like, I gotta get on top? Let's figure it out and come up with a new way of getting on top. Nope, this is the safest way to get on top. I'm gonna keep drilling the safest way to get on top. If I find a safer way, that's what I'll be drilling. There's no version of me that's ever been in a fight where I wanted to pull a motherfucker on top of me to win. Maybe. I'm not doing that. I don't want that ingrained into my DNA.
Now it seems I'm sure your game is like you're completely well rounded now that you've been doing this for 100 years. And I'm curious though in the beginning and how you called yourself the Toad and this and that, or other people did. Were you initially a type of like counterpuncher type, or were you an offensive type of player initially? And do you vacillate now, or what?
My goal for the longest time was survival. I wanted to be alive long enough to be able to win. And no one taught me shit. I just learned how to suffer. So I was really hard to submit, but I was also hard to submit because I was being a bitch. You'd be an armbar, but I'd be holding my arm like that. And then the guy'd be like, well, I can't get the armbar, but you could totally just punch me in the fucking face. So it's a complete fallacy in my mind where I'm like, he'll never get the armbar. He'll never get the armbar. So I got really defensive to begin with. And then after I learned how to escape submissions, I became offensive. So that's a thing. My job was not to just huddle in a little ball. It's like, you can't get me. Your job is to be in a safe space where the person can get you, but you know the counters. So me learning the counters opened up the ability for me to be offensive. So when you fuck up your submission, I'm taking the sweep and I'm going to be very sharp with my submission. Now, that being said, I'm also in my 40s now. So my submissions are like a ball peen hammer. There's nothing sharp about me. Like it's gonna happen. It might take a while and it might be painful. So I don't know. I missed my golden era of jujitsu because I got hit by a bunch of cars. Like at the high point of me physically, where I knew things. Because that's the thing with jujitsu is like you're shit, and then all of a sudden you know stuff. And can you make that stuff happen? Physically, no. I got hit by a car. Physically, yes. I'm going into ADCCs. Yeah, right. I fucked my body up early, not being taught how to do shit. So I got super defensive, and I'm very defensive to this day. But I think defense, once you understand how to defend properly, becomes offense. And then offense, technically, we should both be handed the same knife. I think there's a lot of people out there that are desperate to have like a screwdriver with a laser pointer on it. I want the fancy thing that's going to do the job. Yeah, you should have like a fucking butter knife, and I should have a butter knife, and we should both be sharpening that blade. And we both have the exact same blade. Now, who has better timing with that blade? The defense and the offense both have timing. And if my offense is better than your defense, that's how I win. I don't win because I use something fancy with a laser point on it. And this is like layers deep tiramisu analogy shit that I know a blue belt and purple belt is just gonna be like, not shitting on you. Just in general, it's just gonna be like, oh, he does old school jujitsu.
Mhm.
You should know how to defend properly, not the defense to the galaxy guard. You should know how to defend. How do you find base and connection? That's actual jujitsu. Doesn't matter what your guard is, base and connection. Now, if I have no base and I have no connection, I have no defense. If I don't have defense and you have a submission, shit, it's a good submission. We got me. It's
Mhm.
not the counter to the counter's counter. It's actually knowing what creates jujitsu instead of here's a bunch of moves that you have to be an athlete to achieve. Sorry, that got a lot of layers deep on that one. But
Mhm.
I think personally, the idea of sharpening those two knives and who has better timing is way more important than who has the most random knowledge. Because if
Mhm.
you know these four things over here, all these phone books of shit mean nothing.
Mhm.
And it's very depressing for a lot of black belts eventually.
Yeah, this one's I'm sure going to be tough because you have so many of them, perhaps as of recent. But what comes to mind when I ask for you to give me an aha moment?
Idiot. Two, number one, Hickson. Every time I see him, every goddamn time. I was there a couple weeks ago and he was showing a thing. I was like, ah, it's my version of Christmas. It's like a running joke because like my family goes to Disney and my family enjoys Christmas. I enjoy Hickson. It's that cool feeling of like I've got a puzzle that I'm dicking around with and I get it. I'm like, ha! That really good feeling of like, yeah, that's what I get every damn time. There's never a moment that I'm not in that room. I go, so pull the pinky to the elbow, elbow to the hip. Yeah. Now, for me, like a personal one, the other day I was sparring and we spar different apparently. Like it's just a whole different way of doing things. Like I'm not worried about like sitting up posture in the guard or standing up to break the guard and all this other shit. I want bicep ties while I'm on top in the guard and my hands are on the triceps and my forearms are touching the forearms. That's going to be nice and sticky to where everything you do is a step behind because I am controlling the middle. I don't put my fingers in the armpits to stand up to prevent you from pushing forward and pulling in because that opens arm locks and blah, blah, blah. This right here is a proper control of the middle that is going to allow me to headbutt the shit out. That's what I care about personally. So now my aha moment the other day was to defend that. There's a way that you can swing your arms over the top and collect the double arm bar and pin it to the chest. So I had this wonderful moment of timing when they started to swing the arms where I grabbed the back of the head and I put them in a neck crank
Mm,
instead of a head butt. So you're
mhm,
supposed to just grab a head and start headbutting them, but I put them in a can opener. And from the can opener, the proper defense of the can opener is to pin the head to the chest and start to scoot your ass back. So I found an actual can opener. I opened the guard. Like I didn't just grab the head and start pulling. Like I found a legitimate reason to do a can opener that was technical. I had a moment. I was like, huh,
wow.
I can tell. I know for a fact that somebody out there along the way did that for a reason. And I found the reason by accident because some people just grab the neck like ready? My hands were here and you brought them here and I brought them here. I feel good about this. I found something. It's not the guard break that I wanted though, so I'm still dicking around with it. I really like the idea of stumbling across something that I thought was not a thing and it turns out to be a thing under context
Can you tell me a time you wanted to quit or considered quitting and why?
every fucking day. The ocean looks great today. I've got a private at 10:30. I could be surfing. No,
Your body's broken. Your back is broken. Everything's broken.
dude, I busted both of my knees at once. I had a lateral meniscus and a tear in my medial tendon, a V tear, and like I couldn't spar properly, so I just stopped sparring for a couple weeks, probably like a month or two. And then I found like I couldn't even surf, like I couldn't get on the board, so I'm like, go down with the boogie board. I go down with the boogie board and my neck is all tense and my elbow's fucked. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like all the cool things, like I'm having troubles doing the three things I love the most. So I need to make better decisions. But for me, the big one I think was the breaking of the spine. Like when they told when they stuck the needle in Like I was in the room and they put cortisol to like take the pressure off of the two spinal cords, to take the pressure off the sciatic nerve. Like as the needle went in, I was thinking like, there's gotta be a better hobby. I get it. You love doing this, but you can hurt yourself in other ways. And I started drinking a lot after that. I was like, I'll just die drinking. I think the main thing that made me consider quitting was maybe just depression. Like I was there for nefarious means to begin with, and I was just thinking about other ways I could go about my business being depressed. Outside of that, like I think I was pretty lucky to have all that physical contact because I think physical contact's a huge thing that counters depression. So that's a lot of people love jujitsu is because they're basically cuddling,
Yeah.
might be
And community.
violent cuddles. Yeah, that's one word for it. I never really had a community on that. I got some friends for life out of that place, but oh my God, that was the worst community. Thankfully, most of my schools were awesome. Most of my schools are awesome, and they all really like each other, and they actually care for each other. Yeah, a lot of frenemies from the last one.
Talk to me about your criteria for belting.
So I have two versions of this, and it's in the midst of being made because I have syllabus. I have things that I want you to know, and I want you to present to me the knowledge. For me, the belt doesn't exist within self-defense. Like you're not going to earn a belt from getting out of a headlock with me. And that's a Rickson thing too. Like you can come in and do self-defense every day for the rest of your life, and you're learning new things, and you're
Hmm.
adding stress to it. Like I could squeeze the shit out of your head. I literally tore my ear off with Jack. Like it's separated because he squeezed my head off that hard. Like, can you get out of the headlock now? Like, yeah, so you can get injured doing this stuff correctly. Thanks, Jack. When I test for belts for my students, I'm watching them roll with other belts. And my idea of a blue belt is a completely different idea than somebody else's blue belt. For me, I have to physically watch my guys, right? So I don't like having huge clubs. I don't want to have hundreds of students. I can't keep track of that. And I don't like the show up on time system. I don't like that at all. Like I mark you off for all your classes. I
Agreed.
mark you off for your classes so that I know I've taught you this. And if I've taught you this three fucking times and it's still not sinking in, I'm not giving you a blue belt, man. Like if you can't understand the basic premise of push pull, which has been presented to you multiple times, push pull, just because you're winning doesn't mean that I'm going to give you the belt. So you've got one cool submission that you can nail. You don't get push pull. That's me. So my version of a belt is not predicated upon like, okay, he showed up on time. He's wearing a clean gi, blah 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 blah. No, he can literally be an alcoholic who shows up late, but he knows push pull and he'll fuck your shit up. There's your blue belt. He got you. So for me, I would say every 6 months, I do a check. I check in with my, unless you are standing out, like I've got one that's standing out right now. I'm literally just waiting for the belt to show up. I ordered the belt. So it's here. When it's here, he gets the damn belt. But I want to make it like a presentation. I like when it's in front of a group of people. So I wait for a seminar or I wait for like a year-long year-end party where we have
Hmm.
like a full test kind of thing where we're sparring as like good work. There's your belt, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But for me, if you don't have a basic understanding of core principles, I don't feel right giving you the belt. So I'm in the midst of trying to create a full testing system for my students and for my academies. As it stands right now, all of my instructors have been given the thumbs up to if he's a white belt beating a blue belt, give him his blue, right? If you think it's correct, there's your personal standards. So if Greg says like he gets it, he doesn't quite get push and pull, he's a bad motherfucker and he does understand the hip escape. There you go. I trust in Greg. I completely trust in Greg. For me, he doesn't get push and pull. Give him another month. Maybe something will click. I'm a little bit more tightly wound. I was very tightly wound for a while. I had a guy that was on blue for 7 years. I was like,
Wow.
no, sorry,
Hmm.
no. And then finally I gave him his purple. And I was like, he's a purple. And I told that story to somebody. I remember the person was like, wow, you must be a really shitty instructor. And I was like, yep. Because I took that a completely different way. Like I guess I didn't teach him, so I've got my parameters written down and I'm going to hand them out to my instructors in my schools and say, this is how I want it. For my instructors to have a black belt, there's two black belts for me because I haven't decided whether I want to do the blue belt because Rickson doesn't do that. And I represent Rickson, and I'm JJGF. I want to be that. I want to do right by him, period. So if I'm doing the belts, I'm doing the JJGF version of the belts. I love the idea of Elio's fuck you blue belt. This is the Guanabara standard. I like that. So who knows what will happen in the future. But as far as I'm concerned, for my students, if they are a brown belt beating up black belts, they're a black belt. Here's your black belt. Congratulations. If you teach classes, you need a red bar on that black belt because that red bar means that you're an instructor. Now, if you teach the self-defense syllabus correctly, you should have 2 white bars as a professor. And if you're representing me as a professor, I want you to be wearing a very specific black belt that has kanji on it that says Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So that's what we do here. If you got one of my belts that has Gracie Jiu-Jitsu written on it in kanji, that means you know what you're doing. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu wise, not just sport. Because if you're a blue belt in sport, you're a fucking blue belt in sport. Fucking on, man. I don't like the visitor belt thing either, by the way. They did that at Crohn's. They did that at a couple different places. That thing's more, when I saw it, I thought it was like diminishing in some way. Like, well, you're just not as good as us. It's actually a red flag. So it's for safety. So I do agree with it on some levels, but so if he's got a strike in the middle of his belt, watch out. He might do some kind of rolling calf slice that you've never seen in your life. There's a whole thing where my blue belt is my blue belt, and this person's blue belt is their blue belt. I've got one that was in Arizona that sent me a beautiful message where he went to a school, and at that school they were teaching leg lock inversions, and they were speaking a language that he had never heard. He doesn't understand the K guard to the this to the that to the that. And he's like, oh, wow, I don't understand any of this. And they were kind of making fun of him, like, oh, you're a blue belt and you don't know any of this stuff. He sent me a note
Mhm.
about it. And he was like, yeah, I'm sorry. This is the stuff that I know. I'm happy to learn. This is awesome. And then they all sparred and he won. The black belt couldn't tap him out, and he was beating all the other guys that were talking to him about not knowing the leg locks. So I feel like understanding different versions of jujitsu is dependent on a school. Now, your idea of a belt, just because we have the name jujitsu doesn't mean we're doing jujitsu. You're doing a completely different thing than me. Just the name, just the fact that it says Gracie on the door doesn't mean it's Gracie. It's just a family name. So I walked into a Gracie school and didn't learn any fucking Gracie jujitsu for a decade.
Now, I want to double click on something that you mentioned before. And it was this whole notion of showing up late and that type of thing. Like we're paying customers, we're adults, we have our responsibilities. Do I need to ask permission also to go to the restroom and that type of stuff? Can you talk about what you meant by your whole showing up on time or whatever it may be?
Okay, so 2 versions of that. If you need to go to the toilet, go to the toilet. I'm not your dad. Like that's I don't like that. I understand that it's a sign of respectfulness and it's a sign of order. So if that's what you want at your academy, I'm not going to say no to that because how you run your academy is how you run your academy. If you want your students to clean their feet before they walk on the mats, that's a thing. It's the same as like don't wear shoes on the mats. You know, it should be common sense. For me, go to the toilet. You're a adult. Like I'm a way more laid back version of this than you think. Like when you said with the whole like you don't look like a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu instructor. Like no, like I respect Rickson and his view, and I respect Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but that's not my thing. That's not my jam. I came up in Australia, and Australia was anarchy at the start. It still is. Back in the day, back in my day, VHS tapes and brawling. We didn't know anything. We were just sparring constantly. The culture over here is very different. It's not gonna be like bow to your instructor. It's more like think I could fucking take him. That's that's just how we came up over here. It's how we are over here. I don't know what it's like anymore because they got like the Institute of Grappling Arts and shit like that. And like, I don't know how they run their shit. It's probably very professional, but I remember getting elbowed in the face. Like, oh, they clean the mats? For me, I didn't have that. All I'm trying to do is be what I didn't have. The turning point for me was in therapy about like the ideal parenting schema. I was thinking like, well, if I'm going to teach jujitsu, I want to do it the way that I wish somebody had taught me. And the thing that I wish happened the most was professionalism and cleanliness. So I wish somebody was there on time. You know, the door is open and there's a class running. Because I would show up some days and the door was open and no one was in there, but the door was open. I'm like, that's probably not good. Someone's gonna steal the stock of geese. Like no one gives a shit. There's no money on premises. It's just an empty office with mats on it. For me, show up on time and be a professional is the bare goddamn minimum for you to actually be professional. For you to be passionate about it is a plus. But if you could show up on time and do the job, I'll take it. Your passion's secondary, but it's the primary for me. The content is the most important thing in my eyes. So if you walk in and like first off, if you walk in and I'm not there and the door's open, the place is empty, what the fuck? That's a very bad representation for a professional academy. I want you to
Mhm.
come in. I want it to be a welcoming environment. I want it to be clean and I want there to be a structure and an order and I want you to feel safe. You are not forced into sparring on the first day, by the way. You are gently suggested that you don't. Because I've got students that have come in and hurt themselves on the first day because they're like, no, I'm a badass. No, you're not. You're a sack of water. I think everyone thinks they're tougher than they are until they get punched in the stomach. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, I can die. Like, it's a whole different thing than you think it is. So take a seat, watch the class, join the class, take a seat, watch the spar, join the spar. Like, it builds over time. Nothing is forced. As far as like hygiene goes and safety goes, if you're late for the class, I'm not a douche about it. I don't make you do 40 fucking burpees. You've got a life. I get it, man. Because I got guys that like they're struggling to find parking in their area and shit like that. But I've never seen it like that. But I have a friend in Hawaii that got really upset and he tried to explain it to me like, dude, this is my life. This is my time. And I'm giving you my time. And you don't show me the respect. Like now I was like, yeah, to be fair, there's like 30 other people here though. You know, they showed the respect. He was the one that was late. I don't know, because I personally can't find a balance on that. It's more like if you booked a private with me and didn't show up, that pisses me off. So like you pay in advance for privates. Like I'm not gonna go sit at the academy and twiddle my thumbs and you don't show up. Like, dude, that's an hour of my life gone. Like I don't have a lot of time these days. So it's much more professional. But safety wise, I would prefer you do the warm ups because if you don't, you just hurt yourself. And I have everybody wear knee pads. So knee pads is a very important thing at our academy because we do a different version of guard. It's not like guard. It's a whole thing where you're going to get kneed in the face by accident. So we wear knee pads because I've seen cheekbones caved in by accident.
Can you give me, I don't know, one or a handful of who you think are perhaps underrated grapplers or jiu-jitsu practitioners, historical or even current or otherwise?
Dude, forgotten about is every year. The only reason that we know the names that we know right now is because of social media and it's become like
Mm.
WWF.
Mm-hmm.
So the names that we keep mentioning are going to be gone in a couple of years, and there's going to be brand new students naming like Johnny Utah. You have no idea how much of a badass this is. He is the goat. He's the greatest of all. Of what? This is an imaginary sport that we created. Like this little fishbowl is very small. Outside of this fishbowl, we all look very stupid. Like, did you hear about such and such did this to this? And then he got kicked off of the team? No. Why would I hear about that, you weirdo? Like this is the weirdest thing where we've made ourselves feel way more important than we truly are. This is an imaginary game that we created to play instead of going to physical war. It's like liking your football team. I don't like football either. Sorry. Like, oh, what do you think about the 49ers? I don't. So when you say like, is there somebody that needs to be remembered? No, none of us. Sorry. Let it burn. I'm not the guy. There's no version of me like, no, you need to preserve this. You're literally putting this. Did you ever read Fight Club?
I haven't read it. No.
Okay, the book is great.
I hear it's incredible.
It is. It's a great film, but like I got the book as a present when I was young. I'm a big reader. I love reading, and the book has so much stuff that's not in the movie. There's this great moment where, because you like, I'm not going to ruin the movie for anybody, but it's a split personality thing, and he's traveling all the time, and there's time zone differences and shit, and he's on a delayed time zone difference, and he goes to a nude beach, and he's laying in the sun, and some dude is like dragging wood across the beach, and he's just watching it, going, like, "What is this?" And then he
What the
goes
hell?
over to look, and he's placed all these pieces of wood in the sand so that when the sun hits it, it makes a perfect hand in the shadow. And he sits there naked in this one little hand. He's just sitting there. And he goes, I have to know what he's doing. So he goes up to this stranger and goes, well, what is this? He's like, I made it. Like, well, why? He's like, I wanted to sit in the hand of my perfect creation for like 1 second. It'll be gone in a second. But I had this moment. That's how I feel. I don't give a shit about what's going to happen next or what happened in the past. Like, I want that one perfect moment right now. Like the middle of dragging that wood into the sand to make that stand in the palm of my perfect creation. That's what you're supposed to be doing every moment of your life. No one's going to remember your name. No one cares. Do you know who invented fire? I don't. No one knows. If it goes long enough, no one's going to know who invented the wheel. No one knows who invented the fire. We get to call it a kimura this week. The art is the art. The art will stay the art, whether we like it or not. Because I don't know how to pronounce it. Shunjun Jutsu or something was around 6,000 years before judo, but they were teaching people how to throw. Where's that guy's book, man? You show respect where it's due, when it's due, for how long it's due. But dude, none of our names are gonna last. It's all gone.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
Sorry to
No,
get
I'm just kidding.
I'll live forever. I'm a golden god. I piss excellence. This is a comedy of errors at all times.
So, Chris, your thoughts on seminars, the value of them and how can we get the most out of them? How do you conduct your seminars, etc.?
I love them. I think that was a taste test sample. It was like going to a buffet when I was a kid. I would go to a seminar and I'd walk in and show like 30 moves. I'm like, "Ooh, I like that one, that one. You like, I'll go straight to the desserts. They're fun. And you get to see a community of people and have a blast and maybe go out to eat and get drunk afterwards. It's your call. I dig it. I always like them. I barely do them anymore. I do private lessons. So I did a seminar probably a couple of weeks ago. For me, my thing is basically doing exactly what Rickson was doing. Because I don't just teach moves anymore. I'll show moves every once in a while. Like the last seminar was just, I'm just going to cram them full of knowledge and leave because I don't know what time I'm going to be back. But what I do when I do a seminar, I teach what is invisible jujitsu as the introduction, and then I add a couple of moves on top. That's it. Right. So I think the last Florida one, I had them forward roll and break fall, but before I taught them a bunch of throws from one hold. So as long as they know how to not hurt themselves, and then I show why we get to do throws, I did my job. I didn't just show throws. Context is more important to me, than content. If you understand why we're doing the Taratashi versus the Ogashi, I did my job, right? And if I pronounce them wrong, shut up, get a life.
Now, how much invisible jujitsu can we learn online versus feeling it? I know that's a super important aspect of it.
It depends on the person. Everyone learns differently. I'm visual. I'm extremely visual. So if I watch something and I pull it apart and I just reverse engineer it with my eyes, got it. I'm fine. I feel through vision. Like that sounded weird. I can watch something and I know what that would feel like. That
Mm.
only works for me. I don't know anybody else. I'm sure there's somebody else that can see something. Or, oh no, I know what that would feel like. I'm okay. Some people aren't. So some people need to hit rewind and listen like 20 times. It's like, okay, he said push from left to right. Push from left. Now, what does he mean by push? It's always going to be a crap shot. I'm okay with it. I've got some friends that are okay with it. I also know a whole bunch of people that watch 10 minutes and go, nope, nope, do it to me. Do it. Let me feel. Let me feel that. And then they get it. So I don't think everyone is the same. I think everyone's different and they have their own way of learning. And if you want to learn invisible jujitsu, fuck it, go out of your way. Like if you really want something, you'll find the time to make it happen. If you don't care enough, don't. Go upside down. Go do a berimbolo. Go do X guard. Work on that. Like do whatever makes you happy. But if you really want to know invisible jujitsu, you need to feel it. You really do need to feel it. And that's not a fucking snake oil sales pitch either. You're an adult. You do your own thing. I would recommend finding somebody who knows what they're doing and physically have them do the move to you. I think a good example of that was big name competitor, huge name competitor coach was at a Rickson seminar and he said, okay, get out of side control. Took him like 10 fucking minutes, finally got it. That was very good. Used a lot of flexibility, used a lot of strength, but you got out. Hold me. He held him, he got out in 2 seconds. He did a very specific move. You lock a core, swing your legs, put him in Keskatan. Whole thing. Took like 2 seconds to get out. He goes, I can teach that to somebody half my size. Everyone can do that. That's what jujitsu is. Well, that's what jujitsu should be. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, that's amazing. He got out in like 2 seconds. The other guy took a really long time and he had to be strong and flexible to be able to do it, blah, blah, blah. And to this big name competitor's like thumbs up, he was teaching that for the next month. That's cool. He learned something. He was like, cool, man, I'm going to go and teach my students. Now, I did the same move on Instagram because that's where you learn things. I demonstrated it. And I remember somebody who's a student of this high level competitor shit on it. Like, that would never work on me. I'd take your back. Man, your coach literally learned it from my coach and was teaching it. Like, if you can feel why you can't take the back, you wouldn't say stupid words. Dumb things wouldn't come out of your mouth if you could feel more than see.
It was wonderful watching an old Rickson clip I saw where he's showing someone, it might be Bernardo or something, how to do it's a real basic sort of mount escape, the old pull the arm over and kind of upa, one way. And he just does this little thing where he just turns his head like so, and it just improves the upa so much. And I just tried it, and man, it was a little thing like that just changed my game completely, right? Or change that move for me to execute it so much more effectively. Additionally, watching someone like Henry Aiken and studying his pressure, instructional, that's 1 degree to Rickson as well, type of stuff. And I'm like, God, I would love to get a private with these guys. God, I would love to go to a seminar with these guys and just feel and, because sure, it's working. It's really cool. But man, I know I could be better at this. You know what I mean?
Henry explains it very clear. That's one thing that I genuinely like about his instructions. You might not be able to feel it through the camera, but he's very clear and concise in what you're supposed to be doing, and he explains why you do it. I try to do the same thing. So the idea of the UPA in general, your job in jujitsu, like the word jujitsu means gentle art. Judo, gentle way. Jujitsu, gentle art, gentle. So if there was a kanji for pick them up with all your strength and throw them, it wouldn't be judo, right? Jiu-jitsu isn't, I'm going to submit the fuck out of you. No, it's the most efficient movement, and that person gives it to you. So if I'm doing the uppa, I will hold a very specific way. I will connect a very specific way, and I will get out of my own way to be as efficient as possible. So Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was the pursuit of effectiveness and efficiency in hand-to-hand combat. Now, that set list of moves, all of those things are still there. Like I would say like 10% is cut off because they like, no, time changes and we found a better answer. That's a great talk that I get to have with Rickson every time I see him. It's like, it's not set in stone. Nothing's set in stone, man. If you got a better toe hold, show me. That's the toe hold we do now. Like there's a great story about at Crohn's. Driscoll was there and they were doing the clock choke. They were doing a clock choke and they were teaching the clock choke escape. He goes, I can't escape this guy's because he's doing it different. So he goes, all right, let me get out. So he puts the clock choke on, chokes him unconscious. And when he wakes up, it wasn't like, oh, let's go to war. I'll prove you wrong. It's like, shit, man, show me how you did that clock choke. That's how we do it now. That's what you're supposed to be doing with jiu-jitsu. That's why the battlefield, or like Pedro Sauer puts it really beautifully, it's like the laboratory. If we're not rolling and we're not sparring, we're not playing. We're not being playful. We're not doing anything. We're not actually doing anything. We're just keeping this list of shit alive with no duress. Oh man, like what happens in the headlock if he starts walking in a circle? I can't do that cool move. I got to do this, this, and this. That's so important, man. I don't want that to die. So just the idea of staying open and being willing to learn new things, that's so important. And I think that's where the sport and the art need to meet again and put some parameters around it. Like, well, what happens if he's reaching for his knife? What's your control like when his hand goes to his belt? What are you going to be concentrating on? Are you going to 2-on-1 on that fucking hand? Because I hope you're going to do 2-on-1 on that hand instead of a guillotine. Because, yeah, but I've got a really good guillotine. He'll be out before he stabs me 30 times. So, like, putting some parameters on this is just pretty important. But just, oh, God, I love that we can still play and create, you know? It's a cool part about jiu-jitsu. Sorry, I got nostalgic for a second about that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. But I gotta bring something up. Probably the additional 5 to 10 minutes I spent was trying to rummage in my garage, trying to find my director's cut, and it comes in an actual box like so, in the shape of an actual license plate, and it's the Repo Man DVD or some like DVD, because my friends know how much I love Repo Man so much. And I know that you have a connection with this, and I love the soundtrack. I love the plugs. I love the Pixies. Obviously, if you look over there, there's Surfer Rosa. I don't know if you could see it way over there, but
Okay, so all I see is a
for the
head.
viewers, yeah. Well, there's the Germs album over here, and
fuck yeah.
There's Surfer Rosa over there. But anyways,
You're digging the germs?
and I brought those out
Fuck
specifically for you. I'm trying to show off for you. But can you tell me about your connection to Repo Man?
Yeah. So side quest. I've had a bunch of different versions in my life because I've always
Real
said,
quickly
fuck
though,
it.
Chris, and also additionally, when you talk about this, can you, for the kids out there who have no idea what we're talking about, you'll actually have to give context to what Repo Man even is. Okay, that's how sad this is. But
Yes,
continue.
sir. I know I'm old. Like, I don't give context to the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell wrote a wonderful book called A Hero with a Thousand Faces. Hero with a Thousand Faces is a boiling down of mythology and religion. Basically, we are called to a hero's journey. And like every other week, you get called into a hero's journey. Like, hey, man, did you want to go wander off in the woods? Fuck yeah. Who knows what could happen? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but we walk away with knowledge. So I had a bunch of different lives. I'm going to have more, hopefully. Jiu-jitsu is the weirdest and the most stupid one so far. Like everyone hates everyone. God, this is the most catty fucking version of my life. Jesus. I worked in a university where all the teachers hated each other and talked shit. Not as bad as jujitsu. Jujitsu's terrible. So there was a version of me that used to do the night shift in a porn store. And I would sit there all night watching The Simpsons and eating pizza. And one of my favorite all-time movies is called Repo Man. Repo Man is Alex Cox, I think one of his very early films. Is basically about a punk rocker in LA. And you know what? I'm not even going to tell the story. Just watch the movie. Take the time out of your day to look up the original Repo Man with Emilio Estevez. Don't get it confused with Repo the Genetic Opera and all these other cool things.
At least tell them what a repo man is.
Repo Man is a guy that back in the day, he would do debt collecting. So if you, I don't know, were overdue on your car payments, he was the guy that was sought out to go and pick up the car. This punk rocker accidentally walked into a line of work that ended up with him repossessing things. And he repossessed a car with something nefarious in the trunk. And he ends up going to space.
Okay.
So let's just boil it down to so he flies off into nothingness. So he flies off into the hero's journey. I fell in love with that movie not just because of its strangeness, which is that's a word for it. Everything about that movie hit a nerve with me in so many ways. But the one thing that hit me the most was the soundtrack because I am a big fan of punk rock. I really love these LA scene punk rock. So I accidentally brought myself up with that. I didn't even know they were all connected. I was listening to Fear, Black Flag, Adolescence, The Germs. Like I wasn't that big into The Germs, but I actually kind of liked a little bit of like Darby's stuff was okay. God, dude, I have a whole thing with the Descendants.
Yeah, me too.
My
pure adore. Yeah, I'm just like in love with that band.
I got a new mug on its way. It said
DI, yeah, we could go on and on.
Yeah, no, it's your like for me having this entire soundtrack to that movie, and that movie made just as much sense to me as my youth made. So it's like this anarchy, like anarchy. That movie hit me in the feels. That soundtrack hit me in the feels. And I remember working in that porn store watching it. And this is back when we didn't have smartphones and shit. So I was on the internet when I got home and I looked up Repo Man, just thinking about like, I wonder what other movies he's done. I've seen Straight to Hell. I've seen this. I've seen that. Let's look into it. There's a sequel. So I found that there was a sequel called Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday, and I lost my shit. Like, oh my God, there's a sequel to the fucking coolest movie, and it never got filmed. It was lined up to have Emilio and Willem Dafoe and some other cats tagged into it. The funding got cuts. It was a whole thing. And then as I'm reading, I find at the very end of what I'm reading, the script is available here. It's like, well, the fuck it is. I click on it, and not only is it a script, he's drawn stills from the film like a damn comic book because he illustrates. He used to draw comics, so he illustrated a lot of the script. And as I'm reading it, like this could be the best comic book. And then I sat there silently for a second. I was like, this could be the best comic book. I could just make this. So I took the first 6 pages and I drew it and I sent it to him because, like back in the day, websites you could just email. Like, okay, I'll just email the guy. I'll just email the author. I'll just talk to the person. Like that was normal back then. Now you got to get through an agent to an agent's agent to talk to somebody. Yeah. So like, if you don't ask the girl out, like what's going to be the worst thing that happens? She says no. Like just ask the girl out. Yeah. So I sent him the 6 pages and I was like, do you want to make a comic book? Cause I am fucking down. And he was like, yes. He got right back to me. Like the next day we started talking and we got to know each other a little bit and we got along right out the gate. We don't talk anymore. It's been a very long time. I fell off of the comic book scene. So the comic book happened just because I had the perfect time and place. And I had drawing boards set on the desk and I was surrounded by punk rock and pornography. And I was like, this is the best moment of my life. So I started drawing the whole thing. I managed to get it all done and I found an Australian publisher because the university I ended up working for. One of the guys that did the coloring for it was a professor at the university. Wow. He knew a publisher. The publisher got onto it because we tried Image and a couple other comic books publishers, but no one really wanted to take on an obscure movie. Wow. This guy that ran the publishing company was like, that's my jam. I love obscure, weird shit. Let's publish it. And now it's like you can find it on eBay for like $300.
Wow.
I'm really proud of that. And
that's incredible.
Just so you know, I was in the works to make a soundtrack for it because you're a fan of the music. The original soundtrack, as you know, as the studio audience doesn't know, the soundtrack actually had the Circle Jerks and
Yes.
Black Flag and the Plugs. If you don't know who the Plugs, Plugz, they did the soundtrack for pornos. They were a Mexican punk band in LA that ended up becoming like Tito and Tarantulas. And they were in From Dusk Till Dawn and shit. I
Yeah.
love everything about that soundtrack.
Talk about underrated band, but yeah.
No, man, fucking phenomenal. I still listen to them while I'm grilling. Anytime I'm grilling outside, the Plugs.
That's fascinating because I did not know the whole porn connection too with him, with that
Yeah,
band.
they did
So that's super
The
interesting.
Devil in Miss Jones. The Devil in Miss Jones Part 3, where she goes to hell, I think. They did the entire soundtrack. I might be wrong. I might have to look it up and send it to you. But they did the sequel to, was it New Wave Hook?
I don't want to find your comic book. That sucks.
Yeah, no, New Wave Hookers was fucking great. It was back in the day when they used to make like alt rock porn, whereas it wasn't just porn. It was like this weird high art Andy Warhol kind of. It was pure punk rock. So they had punk rock guys do the soundtrack. I loved it. Anyways, for the soundtrack, my original, because you've seen the film, and some people, when they see the film, when you go into a convenience store back in the day, there would be home brand, off brand products where it wouldn't have the Coca-Cola logo where it's red and
Yeah.
white. They would have a white bottle that said cola,
We would call
like
it
a blue
generic
bar.
back then in the day. Yeah.
Okay. So we have it over here in Australia called home brand, and you would have the generic brand in America. They couldn't afford to have any kind of sponsorship. So what they did was everything was generic brand. So they had like these whole walls of shit where it just said beer. It's a
Soda.
white can,
Yeah.
blue stripe beer. My vision
Beer.
of the comic book was, because the comic book ended up being like a full graphic novel, super thick. That graphic novel, I originally planned on having a CD in there with the soundtrack, and it would be wrapped in white plastic with a blue bar that said comic. And that was it. And nobody understands my sense of humor, and it's bad for sales. That was the original intention.
Except that PIL did it later.
People just fucking listening. The CD itself was going to be every single song from the soundtrack, but it was going to be in like so have you ever heard of Richard Cheese?
Yes. Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the term for it? What's the term for that music? It's kind of like a lounge. Yeah. So when the Circle Jerks did their song Coup d'etat for the soundtrack, the original soundtrack, they did a lounge version of Coup d'etat.
That's right.
And it's only available on that soundtrack. What I wanted was every single song from the soundtrack, I wanted to have a lounge version of it, or someone's off cover of it. It cannot be a cover. It has to be slightly off, because that's the whole point of the story. He comes back and everything is slightly off. So he flies out into space. He comes back from space. Time has changed. Everything's weird. Everything is slightly off and everything's for sale. Everything is constantly trying to be like this marketable version of what it was. So I was going to take these punk rock songs and make these punk rock songs. Like, imagine Taylor Swift sang Black Flag. That's what I wanted the soundtrack to be. And I contacted Frank Black. I had Frank Black on a most favorable nations thing for the soundtrack, and he was going to cover, I think it was Iggy Pop's song. So it was going to be Repo Man covered by Frank Black. And I had Gwar. I was talking to Dave Brocky before he passed away. Dave Brocky was going to get Gwar or DBX. Do you know DBX?
No.
Dave Brocky's side band was called the Dave Brocky Experience. So I had either it was Gwar or DBX. Go check out DBX. If you want to look it up on Spotify, you have to look up Dave Brocky and then DBX will show up. Because if you look up DBX, it comes up with like trance, like techno guys. If you look up Dave Brocky, you'll find 2 albums by him. I had him, and he was going to cover Let's Have a War by Fear. And then I had Mindless Self-Indulgence. Mindless Self-Indulgence was going to cover something else. And I did genuinely have the publisher for Mike Patton. And I was going to get them to put Let's Lynch the Landlord onto the soundtrack. That was going to be the only song that wasn't on the soundtrack. But that's a cover of a punk rock song in lounge. So I had the most brilliant fucking idea, and it never came to fruition.
That would have been epic, man.
It petered out, but like it petered out so good. And I couldn't keep pursuing it because the book was getting out. It was already going to be published, and like the soundtrack would come later. So I don't know. There's a part of me that still wants to PDF the book and have it available for free online with the
Oh my God.
soundtrack, and I'd get on to everybody and just make it happen. That's the most punk rock thing you could do.
Yeah, that's amazing. That would be incredible. Well, man, we've lost everyone there, but I don't care. I wanted to go through that.
Fuck them. It's you and your
Yeah.
jujitsu crap.
I
Go
love
read
it.
a
I love
book.
it. Yeah. Plus, we're at the end here for those of you diehards that went through this. God bless you. Salute to you. So, Chris, all your online offerings, you got a lot of stuff, man. Your YouTube stuff, I love your business sense, your digital business sense. You got BJJ project stuff. I was really impressed by all the stuff. You got a million ways to make money. It's very impressive, man.
Dude, first off, money is not the goal. It never has been. And I think
I
that's
got you.
why
But I'm just saying, very effective
well,
business
no, I'm just
practices, and
saying
I
that's
admire it.
why it's
I
effective.
admire the hustle.
That's I'm the product. So I keep trying to explain this to people. Like I never planned any of this. I was fine sleeping in a closet and teaching jujitsu. It was awesome for me. Genuinely. It's just part of my life. That's what I was doing at that point in time. And then I got hired to go work for a rich guy in the desert. And I just kept building and building and building and more connections, connections, connections. And then I was like, I think I'm done with this. I don't like this. And I came home and someone started filming me. And then when she started filming me, this kept happening. And then people kept asking more questions. So the BJJ project are the two gentlemen that saw the train wreck and they decided to film it and ask it questions. That's where you can find me. And apparently it's working out well. I think there's other things, but I'm not a good salesman. Like I said, I'm just the product. So if you want to get on to me, if you go onto Instagram, the very first picture in the top left is my American representative. He's actually literally a 0 Point representative, one of my instructors. Mr. Trudeau, if you need any contact for me in the States to teach, if you want me to teach private lessons or teach seminars, you contact him. I have a contact for London, but probably message on Instagram first. So Europe, I've got a contact, but I haven't published it. And Indonesia, I have a contact. I haven't published it because I am always willing to take this shit show on the road. I love traveling and I love sharing this art. The BJJ project is where you can buy things, and I'm sure it benefits everybody. I don't know where you can buy Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday, and I'm pretty sure I don't benefit off of them. So
Chris will send me all of those links, and we will put them all down here and in the show notes, everyone, and all over the place on the screen as he's speaking. And so you can just chase all of that down. Chris, again, brother, thanks so much for your time. You people out there, remember, I'm your host, Adolfo Ferranda. You subscribe to the whole VIP thing. It's only 99 cents a month, uncensored, no commercials, and the whole thing. Go get your Dojo Chimp Geese. Go get your Salt Electrolytes. So, Chris, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate, you being so generous with your time, brother. I hope we can do this again.
all good. I would love to, man.
Gotcha. All right, everyone. See you guys next time. Thanks so much.
Bye.